evening, everybody. How are you doing tonight? Awesome. Excellent. Perfect. Got a nice little crowd here this evening. Perfect. So this is kind of getting into our favorite time of year where the clinic season has wrapped up a little bit and we got a little bit of time to ourselves and we're not running around so much every day. And also, cool things that happen this time of year is we release our new schedule for 2026. And it's sort of almost done. We have quite a few people that are wanting to do private clinics or clinics for clubs and stuff like that. So we're kind of working with them to get them in the calendar when we can fit it. But we're going to release a schedule later this evening. As soon as that happens, you can go book workshops and stuff for next year. So it's really cool. Um, this celebration tonight is sort of a gathering of stories, connections, and thinking or anticipating of adventures we're going to have in 2026, and we're really looking forward to it. And if you know anything about Amazing Horse Country, if I've worked with you before, you've been to a clinic, or we've done, I've been to a clinic wherever you're at, you know that each workshop is really about the bond between the horse and the rider and working to create experiences that inspire growth, trust, and a real honest, practical connection with your horse that you can take and do stuff with. So tonight isn't really all about releasing the schedule. We got a whole bunch of other stuff on the itinerary, but it's about sharing, learning, and having our little community come together and have some fun. So just because we got a whole bunch of stuff to do and just an hour to do it in, 2026, we're adding a new clinic and revamping some other ones. And we kind of, over the years, we've been doing this for years, right? Which is crazy. But over the years, kind of adapting, changing, trying to model our clinics after what people are looking for and the most you can get out of it. And we learn a lot while we're doing that. Your feedback is incredibly important too. And also, we found a whole new set of trails off to the west that we started to explore last year in one of the backcountry clinics. And we want to get out there and do some work over the winter and really expand that. So we'll probably, I don't know, probably have another 15 or 20 miles of trails, right? We can honestly go from here to pretty much anywhere.
Let's look at what we've got going on for 2026. First of all, our mentorship program. This is what we have going on right now. It's available from now until April. Our new mentorship program is the most flexible, personalized, and cost-effective way to invest in your partnership. You choose the days, you choose the focus, and together we make it productive. Mentorship is designed entirely around you, your horses, your goals, and your calendar. Whether you want 2 days of learning or a full 4-day progression, this clinic adapts to your needs. We have flexible scheduling. Pick any block of 2 to 4 consecutive days that fits your life. No fixed dates. You decide when it happens. It's cost effective too. At $175 per full day, you get personalized mentorship at an exceptional value. Book 4 days and save even more. Stay on site with your horse. We have a bed and breakfast, and we're all ready to make your stay a holiday too. Mentorship is limited to 3 participants in any given day. This ensures one-on-one attention in a supportive, collaborative environment. You can work with up to 3 horses and dive in whatever you need the most, whether it's colt starting, liberty, obstacles, advanced athletic work, or even trail riding. And it's a progressive approach. Every morning, we start off with a chat in the classroom and plan what we're going to do in the day. Then, we grab our horses and head out. This is a great way to strengthen your leadership, deepen trust, develop athleticism between you and your horse, and build confidence that makes partnerships thrive. With me as your mentor, you'll explore the intricacies of the horse's mind and body and learn how to create progressions that fit with you and your horse's unique journey. This year, we're introducing a new clinic. It's called Trail Mastery. Step beyond the arena and into the untamed beauty of the wilderness with our Trail Mastery Backcountry Workshop, a 4-day adventure designed for riders who crave more than just a ride. This isn't your typical clinic. It's a journey where you and your horse learn to move as one through forests, hills, winding trails, building confidence and trust with every step. With small groups and personalized coaching, you'll tackle real-world obstacles, sharpen your horsemanship, and discover the thrill of navigating diverse terrain together. Imagine cresting a ridge with your horse, the forest opening up into sweeping views, knowing you've built the trust and skill to get there together. This workshop blends solid horsemanship principles with the thrill of exploration, ensuring you leave not only more capable, but more deeply connected to your horse. We've also redesigned our Liberty Clinic. This year, we're calling it Practical Liberty because that's what it's really about. And we're heading out on the trail. Liberty isn't about rehearsed tricks in an arena. True liberty is when your horse continues to follow you, whether you're in front, behind, astride, or 20 feet away. It's not about position, it's about partnership. Practical liberty begins with a simple truth. Horses are born knowing how to mirror and follow a leader. Every maneuver we ask of them, they already understand in their own language. Our role is to step into leadership, learning the horse's mind, body, and balance, and refining the skills that invite them to connect with us naturally. When I start horses, I spend time on the trail, hiking beside them, leading from behind the eye, working through real scenarios. Out there, we build a leadership connection that translates seamlessly to the saddle. That's why in 2026, Practical Liberty is heading to the trail. Together, we'll explore liberty where it truly lives, in the open spaces, on winding paths, and in the rhythm of horse and human moving as one. The last change we made to our clinic lineup is partnership. Reinvented and trail ready. This isn't just another workshop, it's a dynamic experience designed to do something with your connection. Reimagined for 2026, the Partnership Workshop blends inventive obstacles with a trail component, creating a hands-on journey where you and your horse put trust, communication, and athleticism into action. We'll explore the full spectrum of horsemanship: liberty, building authentic connection; trail riding, navigating technical terrain and hills; obstacles, tackling creative challenges that require focus and teamwork; and athleticism, developing balance and precision for both horse and rider. Participants often call this clinic exceptionally well-rounded because it touches so many facets of horsemanship: mind, body, and athleticism. It's about cultivating a functional, practical relationship with your horse, then stepping beyond theory to live it out on the trail. If you're looking to create a stronger connection with your horse, expand your abilities as a team, or you have a new horse you'd like to explore a relationship with, this is the workshop for you.
So what do you think? 2026 is going to be fun. We are so looking forward to it. Last year, when we got out and found that whole new trail network, it's like, wow. It's like this, we got years of exploring here. I can't wait to get out there and have some fun. Okay, so contest. So we ran a contest that you probably all know about and you probably all entered, hopefully. And actually sort of two different contests. So we got a couple different draws coming up tonight. Well, a whole bunch of them, really. And so there'll be lots of winners here. But the contest entries, we got a whole whack of them. So videos, stories, a whole ton of pictures. So what we did, because we want to do a little compilation, well, what we'll do is put a real compilation of all that stuff together and put it on YouTube eventually, maybe in a few days, but we just didn't have the time to do it now, and it would take up a lot of time here. So we put together just a little 5-minute blurb of the pictures that everybody sent in, with Leona narrating some reworked stories for the presentation. So again, she took all the stories that everyone sent in and kind of just re-scripted them a little bit to shorten them just for tonight. So again, it was an awesome little contest because we got to see so many stories of journeys, trust, learning, connection, and transformation. You know, where did you start and where did you end up with your horse? Where did your horse start and where did they end up with? So, you know, lots of really cool things going on. And I think it was a really neat little contest to get people to think about that. You know, what have we done, with our horses? It's pretty neat. And so without further ado, I'm going to play this little compilation video we have here, and then we're going to get into tonight's topic. Stand by.
Letter to my horse, Silk, from Caffey. I met Silk 12 years ago, big, beautiful, and full of spirit. She taught me the value of connection and cooperation. We've logged more miles together than any other horse I've had. Slower rides now, but she's still my joyful, steadfast friend. Letter to my horse, Kiona, from Irene. From the cargo plane in 2008 to retirement today, every step with you has been unforgettable. You've been my alarm clock, my trail guide, and my heart horse. You helped me heal, taught me trust, and always knew the way home. At 29, you're still the boss and still the one who makes me smile every day. Letter to my horse, Comanche, from Maria. From wild Mustang routes to trail rides and campouts, you've grown into everything I hoped for. You keep me on my toes, brave and full of spirit, just like your namesake. 11 years of adventures and our bond is stronger than ever. Now it's your turn to teach the next generation, Comanche. You're one of a kind. Letter to my horse, Jax, from Valerie. Jax came to us scared, skinny, and unsure, but he found his confidence with love and time. Now he runs to the gate, lets Valerie sit on him, and explores obstacles like a champ. He's gentle, curious, and full of potential, born for adventure with his little rider. We're so excited to see what the future holds for this sweet soul. A letter to Vince from Kathy A. You weren't the horse I wanted, but you were the one I needed. You carried my temper, my tenderness, and every truth I tried to bury. We learned each other the hard way through dust, sweat, and quiet between hoofbeats. Vince, I owe you everything. Letter to my horse, Sunny, from Diana K. From big brown chicken to trusted partner, we've come a long way in 25 years. We've shared spooks, cattle drives, abscesses, and healing, always finding our way back to each other. You've taught me patience, forgiveness, and the joy of quiet companionship. Sunny, you mean the world to me. Every ride, every cuddle, every day. My letter to Vegas, from Beth. From surprise foal to steady partner, you've shaped me in ways I never expected. You don't just carry me, you lift me. What began as care has become a bond built on trust, patience, and shared purpose. Together, we've become everything I hope for and more. Letter to my horse, from Blaze to Hawk. From timid yearling to full-blown menace, Hawk, you're truly come into your own. You steal hats, jump fences, and harass the old pony, but you've got heart and humor in spades. We started with trust and baby steps. Now we're dodging shovels and chasing you out of the yard. You're chaos on hooves, and I wouldn't change a thing. Letter to my horse, from Kathleen to William. You weren't meant to be mine, but you told us you were in 100 quiet ways. Now you run the hills, gather my daughter close, and leave your dust on our lives. You carry our stories in your coat, our joy in your stride. We didn't just find a horse, we found home. Letter to my horse, from Sheila to Reverend Mr. Boots, aka Dirty Boots. You weren't the horse I thought I wanted, but you've become the one I needed most. From auction scars to soul-deep connection, we've built something quiet and true. We may never ride far, but you meet me at the fence with a nicker and a knowing. Love you, Dirty Boots, just as you are. Letter to my horse, from Kelly to Malene. From spooks and caprioles to cattle drives and clinics, Malene, you've kept me on my toes. You've challenged me, taught me, and reminded me to lead with clarity and feel. We're building trust one wild moment at a time. Here's 2 more milestones, more mischief, and a deeper connection every day.
some pretty cool stuff in there, right? It's really neat. And I'm sure each one of us could write a book if we wanted to. I know I could, right? I could write a volume on every horse I've spent time with, right? It'd have smiles, it'd have tears, but it would be about life, right? Life with a horse is so amazing. And one of the comments in that, and one of the stories that someone mentioned was, you weren't the horse I needed, but you were the horse I wanted. And that really rings true kind of with this style of horsemanship. And in my own personal thinking too, is like every one of them has so much to share with us and so much to teach us. And sometimes the horse that maybe we didn't want, or the one that we struggle with the most, is going to be the one that gets closest to our heart, but it's definitely going to be the one that teaches us all we need to know. Like they're just so amazing. And that's really kind of what this is all about. So getting into this topic tonight here, trail safety through emotional awareness. I know it sounds kind of witchy woo, right? But trying to think of, what that really means to us. And it really gets deep into, how I view working with horses. But let's consider training for a minute. Like the word training, what aspects of training are really important? And, here's a statement that sometimes I have to explain a little bit. My way of looking at it is that horses don't need any training, right? Okay. Everyone's going to be thinking, what are you talking about? Right? My thought is they need an understanding of how they can follow us, humans. Right? And in order for that to happen, we need training in how to show up as a leader in the way they understand it. Right? There seems to be a standard practice out there to train horses, but not prepare our relationship for a trail. Just jump into the fire and hope it goes well. And then when we have problems, we generally fall into reactionary thinking. Like, what do I do after my horse spooks? Or, what do I do when my horse isn't following me? Right? Those are all reactionary. And sometimes we can fall prey to reactionary actions like the one rein stop, right? But it's not really sensical. In most facets of life, we take steps to prepare ourselves for anything that's going to be, a negative circumstance. For example, let's say you have, this is, I'm just thinking of things here, but I don't know what it is. I have a 2015 F350 and I can't go a month without a valve stem going on that thing. And it's got 6 tires, right? So the people at the tire shop know me very well. But it's kind of annoying. But, I take it there to get it fixed. My other option would be to, just fill it up every time it gets low, right? I get stuck on the highway with a horse trailer and some flat tires and I just call somebody, right? And just continue to do that. That's reactionary. Proactive is, I've got a problem with the tire. I'm taking it to the tire shop, right? So I don't have to worry about the problem when I'm actually hauling a horse. So proactive instead of reactive is really important. So the better, more sensible route to go with as far as trail riding is concerned is to spend some time on meaningful, productive trail training with our horse to prevent all those scenarios that we don't desire. So here's a statement. Success on the trail is entirely dependent on our relationship with our horse, not the training they received. Because if they can't follow us when we're on their back, it doesn't matter what level of training they have. Make sense? Right? We see this happen all the time. So the question being then, have we taken the time to cultivate that, to turn it into something confident, practical, and positive? So trail safety through emotional awareness is one aspect of looking at that. And tonight there's 4 key points, I guess you could call them, that I'd like to explore. So the one being how emotional regulation creates safety on the trail. The other, reading cues before they become reactions, like what happens before the problem, right? Turning trail tension into moments of connection and actually seeking it, right? And then training for it. What are we going to do, to prepare? So key point number 1, emotional regulation. Okay. Let's think of some facts here. Horses are deeply empathetic beings, right? Unlike predators, they exist as a herd. They require it, right? we can have a lone wolf where, people can be on their own, or, we have a cat in here that's not friends with the other cats, right? So they don't need that connection. Horses do, deer do, right? We see that every day here. We got like 18 deer on the property, 2 big bucks too. But herd animals like that think and feel together and they react as one. It's a survival tool. It's how they work. But think about it. This isn't a bad thing. This is a really good thing. We might think that this herd behavior can be a problem because it can contribute to herd-bound actions, like, your horse wants to get back, or barn sour, or whatever you want to call it, right? But it's actually to our advantage if we understand how to really work with horses. And here's the advantage. If we've taken the time and have the knowledge to build the foundation we require, right, our emotional state can become our horse's compass. They can follow us. We can be a true leader in the way they understand it. So let's dig into this a little bit. Empathy for a horse is a survival skill, right? They've evolved to read and speak the emotional energy of other horses to communicate danger, safety, focus in the herd. And on a trail, the horse, maybe on their own, might simply react to the environment. But in a herd, they're going to react to the leader reacting to the environment, right? So if that herd leader is us, you see where I'm going with this. So with a functional leadership relationship with a horse, and I have to emphasize this is not about obedience, it's the total opposite. It's about followership. Then a horse can follow our reaction and our direction. Doing so is something they're already good at. It's entirely instinctive for them, right? They live in that world in the herd all day long, right? The only missing, we need to be a part of that. We need to be the leader of that herd. So, just a little story here. I was thinking of personal examples, and I think I may have shared this with a couple of you at one time or another, but Chip, he's 15 this year, and I think this happened 2 years ago. So we were, only 2 years into owning this property, and things were new. We're doing a lot of work around here, so the landscape changes, right? There might be a trail where there wasn't one before, and in this case, there was a big pile of brush that there wasn't there before. So Chip and I were riding to Chip's playground, which is what we call our obstacle course. Chip was about 13, and there was a drainage ditch that I had a buddy dig. So our obstacle course is actually built up on a marsh. It used to be an oil well site. So it was built high, but the problem is it's built on the marsh, so water from our property runs across it. So I had a buddy of mine come over with a backhoe and he dug a ditch to carry the water through. And Chip had been out there before. But this time we rode out there, and on the other side of this drainage ditch, now there's this great big pile of brush, right? And Chip is really keyed into changes, where all horses are really. But we walked up to that thing, or we walked up to where we wanted to cross. I wanted to cross it, right? And Chip just froze, right? Just stopped. His breath caught. And I could feel him thinking, we need to turn and flee because there's a monster over there and it's going to get us, right? So I didn't answer that with the reins. I didn't answer that with pressure. I answered it with my emotion, my feel, my focus. And I trust Chip. Like, I could sit on that horse. I'm not worried about it. So it's a great way to really work those skills. So all I did was change my focus. It's like, where are we going to go, bud? There's the treetops over there, way across the ditch. That's where my focus stayed, right? Energy up, positive. We got this, my buddy, right? Soften my body, breathe deep, right? Feel forward. All these things that a horse is going to seek when they're following a lead horse forward, right? I didn't give the brush pile any of my attention. If I did that, I would be following him, right? He looks at the scary thing. I look at the scary thing. Who's following who then? Right? So I invited him to follow me, and he did. It took about a minute, right? He thought about turning away. I helped him stay straight and just kept my focus and my energy on where we wanted to go, and really felt, that I had confidence and pride in him, which I do. And then he started to soften a little bit, and he walked forward, and we went through there. Not because I made him, not because the brush pile disappeared, but because his questions about it were answered by my leadership, right? So this was one of these moments where you say, like, I wish I had a camera, right? No one's ever said that before, right? Like, we need like a videographer like following us around all day to get these moments. But I don't have a video of that, but I do have a little really short clip here that you might have seen on social media that happened recently, where we had a whole bunch of scary things hanging up in our haunted forest for a Liberty clinic. And I rode Chip up to it. And then I'll show you a video later tonight of riding Jerry up to it. And the responses were quite different, right? So initially when I rode Chip up to this, and I don't have this part on video, he was pretty nervous about it. He saw it move and he's like, we're not going anywhere near that thing, bud. But let me show you how it worked out here.
Oh, the rat. Chip just saw it. What do you think about it, Chippy? He's scared of it. Oh, this is awesome. It's okay. We're not worried about that, bud. Hey, we don't care. This is scaring Chip. Woo! This is Chip scared. Well, let's go this way, bud. We don't care about that thing. That's it. That's it. You want to go check it? You can go check it out if you want to. Why don't you have a look? We're not worried about this. Hey, our herd does not care. Go have a look, dude. Just don't walk through there. I'm gonna get clotheslined. See? There you go. Let's go this way. Done. Alrighty.
So just a little clip of working through it. You know, my focus is on our path. Where are we going? All right. And I'm just having fun and laughing about it. Right. And he takes that from me. So it's like using, you know, my emotions to answer his questions about it. And that's how they exist. So, you know, that relationship that we have supports our ability to communicate that way. So it's kind of fun. But it's not like you can just hop on a horse and think happy and they're going to take it from you, right? If that were the case, no one would ever have any problems ever, right? There's things that need to be in place first. So there's a couple here. One, you need to have a very solid leadership relationship with your horse. So safety begins long before we get to the trail and is something we train for. And we put a lot of time into this in our workshops, especially like the partnership one is going to be a big one. The trail mastery is going to be a big one for that, right? If our horse has chosen us and actually sees us as a leader they can trust because we have been consistent with how we handle things, our groundwork is consistent, right? And we've really identified the things that they struggle with and show them how to follow us as an answer, then they can take our emotional cues and our focus as answers to their questions. So we need that first, right? So we're riding on the trail, something moves in the trees, you know, how we respond becomes their answer. So we need the training right there, right? Okay. And then here's the really cool thing. We have an advantage over horses, believe it or not, right? They got better vision. They got better hearing. They got better smell. They can move faster. Like there's all these things they can do, which is kick our butt. But there's a couple of things that they don't have, right? And that's up here, right? We can choose what we emote. That is our superpower, right? It's a big one. We have a real distinct advantage when it comes to leadership over horses, right? And it starts from being self-aware, you know, aware of what we think or aware of what we feel. And, you know, a really good example of that would be, you know, let's say something that everyone might experience, you know, having a problem getting a horse on a trailer, right? And getting frustrated about it. Okay, here's the tough pill to swallow. Frustration is a choice. You don't have to be if you don't want to be. And the fact that we're human beings is we can actually make the choice. It's like, no, I choose not to be frustrated. We're going to do this instead. Or I'm going to feel this instead. Right? You know, having a conversation with a psychologist once about these things, and the guy said, have you ever heard anyone say, you know, you make me angry? Right? And I said, oh yeah, certainly. right? Not that I try to make people angry, but yeah, I've definitely heard that, right? And he's like, you can't, right? They choose that, right? I might be able to do things that would tempt someone to choose anger, but that's their problem, right? So we get to choose what we put out there. And this is a really powerful tool. So we can recognize what emotion we're putting out and change it, right? So deep breathing, softening, tension when we're uncertain becomes a great way to practice this. It isn't about faking till you make it. Because if you actually are playing the role, you're actually in the role, right? You can't really fake that. I mean, how do you fake feeling something? You can't. You're either feeling it or you're not. So practicing doing that is a big thing. Jerry, getting back to him and his little spooky thing. So Jerry is a 5-year-old, and I have been working with him since he was 8 months old. Love that little horse. He loves me. We have a lot of fun together, whether it's in the saddle or not. He's a little brat, if any of you guys have met him, and I encourage that because I like it. But like any horse, and this is kind of a neat little point to talk about too. When I started taking him out in the bush when he was 2, right? Not riding him yet, but he was curious about everything. There was nothing that fazed that guy. And then as he kind of got into his 4.5, 5-year-old stage, he started to become suspicious about things. And there were things that I thought he might have been cool with that he wasn't anymore. And all that meant was I would note those things and then we go work on it, right? And clean it up. And in that stage of life, that's fairly normal. It's just like a human growing up. And maybe when we're 10 years old, we can hop on a horse and go loping around with a halter, or we can climb a big tree. But then when we get older, we start to get a little bit wary and suspicious of things because we realize we can actually get hurt. So horses are no different than that. And so a little bit more suspicion. So on this occasion, Maddie, who's here tonight, I think somewhere in here, right? And Leona was there too. So we're all riding together and we were going through our haunted forest and came across this little thing that Chip just saw. Jerry was a little bit more curious about it, but I really took on the role, changing my focus to a path that took us to it and making it fun. And then just watch how he follows. It's pretty cool. Hang on. Jerry and I are riding and we found a skeleton hanging in a tree. Ooh. Jerry's having a conversation with the ghostie. He actually is. And Jerry is still playing with the ghost. It poked you back? At least you're gonna get mad at it now. So it's funny, right? But it was neat in the fact that he just took on what I put out there. It's like, we're gonna play. And what I have really worked to develop in this horse in the 3 and a bit years that I've 4 and a bit years that I've known him is all he has to do is follow what I do, right? So, if I'm on his back and I think, energy up, we're in a trot. If I relax, stop or walk, right? So it's a really, really neat relationship to have, and I really enjoy it. I think he does too. So key point number 2 here, reading the horse's cues before they become reactions. So before a horse spooks, they speak. Okay, this is really subtle. Sometimes it's silent, right? But it's always there. So our job is really to listen before the volume goes up. Now, sometimes this can happen really slowly, like a buildup, right? And we don't notice it. Sometimes it can happen really quick and we're not ready, right? So what are some cues, that a horse is starting to get anxious about something? And there's some that are really obvious, like an abrupt change of focus. Maybe they're like, what's over there? Some of them, you just feel them getting tight, maybe, or a hesitation in motion. For example, uh, we call it the rabbit tree. So we have a trail, and on it, there's a tree that kind of fell down halfway, and there was a rabbit under it when we were riding down it once. And Jerry saw the rabbit. We didn't see the rabbit, stupid humans, right? We didn't see it, and Jerry just froze. And we're like, oh, there must be a moose out there somewhere, right? Well, it was a tiny little rabbit under a tree, right? But he stopped. So, that hesitation, right? And then there can be some really subtle cues too, a shift in their thought, right? Their eyes flicking, ears turning a little bit, their breathing changing, maybe heart rate coming up. So things that are really, really subtle that we're not really going to notice unless we're really dialed into what our horse is doing. And feeling anxiety building, and a sense of, we use the word off, like my horse just felt off and then something happened. So there's an intuition or a gut feel that goes along with that too. No different than if you can pick up, how a person is feeling. Like, I was talking to John the other day and something was off, right? So like that, like we do that kind of stuff. So I call this like active listening through feel. So consider taking a more active role when you're riding. Now, with some horses like Belle, who I've been riding for 20 years, I don't even think about this, right? We're so dialed into each other that it's not even funny anymore. But Jerry, kind of, things are new. He's 5, right? We don't have, many years together in the saddle. So I'm way more attentive to what's going on in his head. So consider passive versus active. Passive is like, basically you're just a pack box on the back of your horse. They're taking you somewhere. They're not really paying attention to you. You might be able to steer them with the reins, right? But there's a division between, their focus and your focus. Or, another example of this is like a strictly cue-based horse that only knows buttons but doesn't know how to follow a person, right? So some performance horses, when they're retired, really have this struggle. They know how to follow a button but not a person. So then it can get a little scary in the trail. Can we clean it up? Absolutely. It's usually pretty easy. Active is more like we're always sort of having a two-way dialogue with our horse whenever we're riding, and we can check in, and the horse is aware of that conversation just as much as we are. In our style of relational horsemanship, this is what I like to use the rein for, right? Or a pressure that gets their focus on me. So I prefer, if I'm riding, snap my fingers, and then my horse is like, oh, what would you like, dude? Right? Or what what do you need my attention for? So we have that kind of thing going for us. But the rein also, like touching a rein, I desire 2 things happen. One, the horse gives softly at the pole. That might be a motion of a 1/4 inch, generally all you need, right? And the other, I get their mind on me. So I know if I touch the rein very gently, like almost the weight of a marshmallow, and nothing happens, their focus is not with me, right? Then I might come in with a pressure to get it back. But when we feel that release, we know the horse is with us. If we don't, their thoughts are somewhere else, and we got to get it back. And, creating a bend, balance, moving the horse off our leg, things like that can really support getting their mind back on you. We spent, I don't know how many hours what we're doing tonight is kind of like sort of a sample, I guess, of what our online show is like that we do on Wednesday nights. And we did a whole series at the beginning of the year on, the rein. Like, spent a few hours going through the rein and how to develop it into something that's a tool like this. So it's all on the website if you want to see it. But having something to get your horse's mind and knowing you have it, right? Empathy is also a two-way street. We sometimes get told, like, don't be nervous or the horse will know you're nervous. Or, in our style, it's like, well, what am I going to put out there besides nervous? I'm going to feel confident so my horse can feel confident. All the things we just talked about, right? But it works the other way too. Like, we can pick up on what they feel. This is a little bit more complex, This takes practice. And I find there's some people that are naturally more inclined to do this than others. They'll be the people that come up to you and say, hey, what's up today? Something's going on. I can tell, right? They can pick something up from you and you're not putting it out there, right? People that are, really empathetic like that. So, but it's something we can learn to do. And I think it's very important we do it with horses. And what I find with horses, generally the horses that emote the strongest are mares. Many times geldings can be like just buddies. Mares, because they're still hormonal, can really be defensive of the space that we're working in or on or around. And I have felt that, sometimes doing some certain exercises, especially with the pole with a mare, that they'll give me that look like, dude, if you ask that one more time, right, I'm going to tell you. And it's not their facial expression, it's what they put out there. And I can feel it. I think we all can. But the choice that we have to make when that's happening is not to take that on. Right? So if your horse is expressing themselves in a negative way like that, we get to choose whether we take that on. Right? I can be confident, they can follow my confidence. They can be nervous, I can follow their nervousness. Right? It's a two-way street. But just a tip is, be aware, is what you're feeling you or is what you're feeling your horse? Right? I had to learn that one. But man, it helps good. Where, especially working with mares that want to bite your arm off. Very cool stuff. What we did this year, which is something we've never done before, is we thought we would throw a little incentive out there and a reward for people that gave us reviews on Google. So we have reviews for both our businesses, the Seven Tails Guest Ranch and Amazing Horse Country. And see if you won here, if you put one of them in. Hang on a sec. So in this feed dish, we have all the names of the people that gave us an awesome 5-star review on Google. And Ditch, Leona's horse here, is going to pick a name. So we do this in a really fun way. I'll shake them all up, stir them up, and hand them to Leona. And then we take some honey and we stick it on his nose. It's really good honey.
It's me, Leona, with Ditch. We are drawing for the Seven Tails room. It's a 2-night stay from doing the Google reviews. Thank you all for entering and for the 5-star reviews. Let's get to it.
Ready? It's on his nose.
Pick Ditch. What does he got? He has Mary Matcham. Congratulations, Mary Matcham. You've won a 2-night stay in the Bell or Bailey room.
Here, bud. Draw one, Ditch. He picked one.
We've got Melena Nichols.
Congratulations, Melena. You have won a clinic of your choice. So just some fun, right? And we got the prize draws coming up for the big draw, the big contest coming up here. Getting back into our topic tonight. So key point number 3, turning trail tension into moments of connection. When we're, in the Liberty Clinic I was mentioning, we're going to get out on the trails and do stuff out there. And this is kind of one of the things that we want to explore a little bit more, finding things that cause our horses to get a little bit anxious and working through them in a partnership so that they start to have a real understanding of how we are going to manage things when they get nervous. Right. And doing that on the ground is a really good way to build that component of your relationship with your horse. So deliberately kind of seeking struggles out. So every struggle that we find with our horse is a chance to lead with empathy, clarity, and conviction, focus, all the things we want to put out there as leaders, right? So we can turn a spook or nervous anxiety, into a positive experience, which will take our leadership up a notch, right? This is pretty important. Thinking about some recent examples here, I have working with some people that were having some difficulty asking their horses to walk across a creek, and I think the horses probably fed off of each other a little bit, but my suggestion was, like, let's find some things to work the struggle, and then go back to the spot you were having trouble with. Don't expect or force or really think that you're going to get across the creek, but find where the struggle is, and see if you can work to the point where their thought changes, or they relax, or they don't expect what happened before, right? So those are the types of things we want to develop. So, and again, anytime those things happen, they're not moments to fix, they're not problems, they're moments where we can really connect with our horse. All we need to do is stop for a moment and be present. That pause is so important. So, and we can talk about the power of supportive response, if you want to call it that. Anytime we get to some place where your horse struggles with a thought like that, they're really asking a question, right? Is this safe? Should I go forward? Can I? What are we going to do here? How is the herd going to respond? So our answer needs to be in our presence, not pressures, right? If they're scared about something and we force them into their fear, that can end up in a disaster, right? Like you going skydiving and you get terrified about jumping out of the airplane, so someone pushes you, right? That's exactly where your horse can be in these moments. So we pause, not waiting passively, but really to set the emotional tone and our focus, like I talked about doing with Chip, right? And you'll find when you pause like that and relax, breathe, be confident, look where you want to go, right? Your horse is going to settle, follow you, and think about it a bit. And that is our opening. So leading with calm, forward energy, right? We respond with a convicted focus, not a focus on the problem, like I mentioned, but a focus on the path, right? Looking to the treetop, the horizon. If we're in the arena, I usually keep my eyes above the boards, right? Someplace up and forward. So my energy and my focus says, this is where we're going. Follow, bud, right? And then we end up inviting a step instead of demanding it. This can be really tough because we want our horse to get on the box, right? But the thought has to happen first, right? So even a single release, a softening, a sigh, in that moment where they were tense or anxious or questioning is perfect. That's your win, right? So it really means changing our definition of success in the moment. It's not about getting over the thing. It's about creating a change in their thinking, right? And that just might be a pause, like I said. So, and then, when those things happen, praise the snot out of your horse. Right? They just overcame a difficult thought in their head. It works, right? Consistently. So last little point here, training for it. What do we do? Right? And it's not hard, but it does require a time commitment. And we might not think, well, I have to train for the trail, but we do. But the training that we need to do is on our relationship and our leadership and how much our horse can follow that and how deep they can follow. It's not flipping a switch, right? You can't flip a switch and a relationship is going to be just fantastic. Think of that in the human world, right? It's something we develop. And again, just to reiterate, two things have to happen. Our horse must believe they can follow us, and we must give them something to follow, right? So everything is predicated on us presenting ourselves as leaders. Then we can take that into higher pressures, seek them out deliberately, right? I love to do that. It's like, I'm going to find something that bugs my horse today, right? And find it and work through it, right? It's a really good way to do this. So quick little video here. Not really quick. I'm going to cut it off. I'll show you the whole thing. I'll put it in the production version of this just because we got a couple other things we got to get to here. But this is from a few years ago of me working my Palomino gelding Ponky to go through a water obstacle.
here is Ponky. And I'm not even really sure if I've ever asked him to walk through this water crossing before. And this will be a demonstration of how we can use something, that the horse is struggling with or maybe can't even do yet to build trust. And before we get into that, it's probably worth noting that, one way to destroy trust would be to force him through this, right? I don't want him to think that every time we come up to something that's tough for him that, I turn into a dictator. So that will cause him to start anticipating a struggle whenever he gets scared of something. And what I would like him to do is anticipate my support when something in front of him is a struggle. And now he's not only under the pressure of this, in fact, he's not even focused on it. His focus right now is the herd. And he is sort of, interim, maybe possibly the herd leader. And this is causing a bit of social stress for him to not be with the herd. So perfect, right? So we can use this obstacle to do two things. Get us focused on this instead of the herd, and in turn, focus on me. And the other piece would be, having him start to trust the process of how we're going to work through struggles. So first of all, I need to get us focused a little bit here, and then we're going to walk up to this. So I'm going to think about walking over it. And now, if he needs to check it out, awesome. He gets all the opportunity in the world to do that. So I'll think about going forward here again. Good. And he needs to look at it. Good. I'm not asking him to do anything more than that. Right? I think forward. He thinks I need to check it out first. Excellent. So this is something he needs to understand, is that every time we approach something that might be a struggle for him, he gets all the time he needs to check it out. And what that will do is start to build a trust so that this process takes less and less time, because what he'll understand in the end, with some experience, is that every time we come across something that might be an unknown, it's okay, because following me always works out in something positive. So I'm going to take another step forward and think of having him come forward with me. I'm not going to get ahead of him, right? Because that will stop his forward motion. So, and then here, I might say, let's take a look at this together. Good. Now he's looking somewhere else. Focus forward. That's it. And think forward. Space. Good. Now all I'm doing with the lead rope here is just little tiny requests for him to relax with me. Like, this is good here. We don't have to worry about being in this position. It's safe. Like, as long as you follow me, buddy, you're safe here. Again, another good type of trust building exercise is, how do I present myself when there's something scary here? Am I nervous about it? Am I anticipating something is going to go wrong? Am I anticipating a negative response from my horse? Or am I behaving in a way that I would like him to behave? Being a model for what we're going to do here. Or, another word for that, a leader. So, as we do this, I'm going to think, let's go forward. Good. All right, he has to take a look at that. That's perfect. And we're going to think, let's go forward. Yeah. Well done, bud. Hey, you're doing good. Another great way of building trust is to not really have your goal set on accomplishing something complex, but using something complex to encourage the horse's try. And our definition of success in those moments is that the horse tries for you, right? That they try a little bit more each time. So something like this, what I might ask him to do, or maybe walking through it's probably not going to be a possibility here, but one of the things that we can do, set our goal a little bit smaller, is maybe we can get his feet on this green stuff. And in my experience with, hundreds of horses working this obstacle,
putting the feet on the AstroTurf is tough. So let's work this a little bit. And I think release and forward. And then relax. Well done, bud. Good. All right, now he's got his feet on there. Right? Nothing bad has happened. We're just chilling out. Right? Just relaxing. It's awesome. Right, bud? Yeah. Now, herd pressure is important. Focus forward. Good. Now, see if I can get a little release out of him. And you see his focus, he's a little bit tight and rigid here. There. You know, as soon as I get his focus back on me, I can start to ask him to relax again. That's it, bud. Well done. Hey, look at me. There. Hey, that's it. Good job, bud. Well done. We can think about going forward another step here. Forward and release. Good. And you see, when I hang on to this rope, I'm hanging on with the pads of my finger and thumb. Right? I'm not looking at trying to hold him here. If he wants to back up, we can back up together. That's fine. We're going to stick together. We're a team. But I want to use this to release, and I don't want to be tricked, I guess, into human nature of having to pull on him to get him to come forward. So here we're thinking release. There, and forward. Good. Well done, bud. Right, and again, you see he's got some questions to ask about this thing. Every time he puts his head down and sniffs it or snorts at it, he's asking some questions about, what is this thing? Is it okay to stand on? What's going to happen here? What is happening here? Is it safe? And these are all questions that he can only really answer for himself. So allowing him the time to check these things out is pretty important, if not crucial. So again, now he's being very expressive and saying, I want to be over there. All right? That's all right. Good. All these things I just giggle about. It's like, hey, buddy, the good spot's up here. The release, forward. Yeah. Well done. Good. Forward, bud. That's it. Good. Well done. All right. Starting to think about the water a little bit. Good job, buddy. That's it. And we just hang out here together. That's it. Good. Well done, bud. So what we can do now is we're going to deliberately leave it. But as we leave it, I'm going to be very clear about his position with respect to me. Like, we're not running away from it. When I stop, he stops. I back up, he backs up. I go forward, he goes forward. I stop, he stops. Right? And then what we'll do here is just change back to walking toward it. So draw his eye toward me, push his nose away, come forward. Good. Release. Feet on the green stuff and chill out. Right on, bud. Right? And now we have a bit of consistency. Right? We can try that one again. We will leave it together. Yeah, that's it. You stay in your spot, bud. Good. Go forward together. Stop together. Back up together. Turn around together. Come forward together. Release. Release. That's it. Then chill out here together. Let go, bud. That's it. Yeah, well done. Now, when I look at him, I can see a lot of tension. Right? I can see tightness in his jaw. Right? Hardness sort of in the eye. A little bit of tension in the neck. And quite a bit of that is the herd pressure, right? It's not so much this anymore because he seems to be stepping up to it quite nicely. So we can focus on the obstacle itself. It's like, we can check it out together, bud. If he doesn't want to, he doesn't have to. Good. Right on. And then we think forward again. Release. Forward. Good. And then forward thought. Well done. Right? He's thinking about it. Right? I don't even have to ask. But I didn't ask for a turnaround there. Good. So space is still important. All right, and we're going to turn around and leave together. And release. Good. Now turn around and go back together. That's it, bud. Yeah, well done. So nice and consistent. Right, and I'm not asking any more than he's capable of. Back over here, bud. Good. Well done. But really, kind of taking all these things we talked about to heart and working horses like that. And it's pretty cool. Tonight, right now, we are going to release the 2026 schedule. So, a couple things before we do that, or one thing. That horse, Ponky, came up with a really good idea tonight. And he said, why not, if anyone wants to book a clinic, right, between now and December 31st and register for the whole thing, then give them $50 off. So I said, yeah, why not, dude? So that's part of what we're doing tonight. A little bit of an announcement. We'll do it on social media too. If you want to save a little bit on a clinic in 2026. But without further ado, let's have a look at the schedule and the countdown. Hang on a second. As we get ready to count down with the 7 incredible horses who are the heart of our family at Amazing Horse Country, we're thrilled to welcome the adventures of 2026. 2026 will bring exciting new workshop formats designed to inspire and empower, alongside the return of our cherished traditions that have connected us all through the years. We can't wait to greet familiar faces and meet new friends, sharing stories and laughter around the campfire, and witness all the successes that make every workshop unforgettable. With our horses leading the way, the countdown isn't just to a schedule, it's to a year filled with growth, community, and the kind of adventures that stay with us forever. Here's to 2026, a year of adventure. When the countdown ends, you'll be able to reserve your 2026 workshop spots. Are you ready to start that journey? Here goes. 8, 7, 6. 6 is leaving. 6. 6.
Number 5. 4, 3, 2, 1.
The 2026 schedule is now live on the website. I pushed the button and it's there. It didn't even crash. I'm really happy about that. So yeah, it's all there for you. Go have a look. So, how about a draw for some clinics and a whole bunch of other prizes? We need background music. There we go. We had over 80 entries in this contest. And one of the things that we committed to was if we had more than 50, we were going to add another clinic to the list of prizes. So we did. So we've got gift certificates, stay in the Bell or Bailey room, stay in the Chips cabin, 1 clinic, 2 clinics. Are you guys ready? Okay. Here are all the entries in this bowl. Leona put everyone's name on a little piece of cardboard and folded it up. So we're going to start with $50 gift certificates, and we got 5 of them. Here we go. There, you watch me draw. I'm not cheating at all. Leona's teaching figure skating tonight, or she'd be here doing this. All right. And I have to open them. Didn't say it was going to be hard. All right. Maybe I can... Diana K. Didn't put last names on it. Go. Next, we have... This isn't easy. There we go. Valerie Kabatoff, $50 gift certificate. Stirring them up again. Oh, this one's easier to open. Molly M. Molly Miner, I think that is. $50 gift certificate for you. And that's 3, isn't it? You guys have to help me out here. I can so not open these things. Lara M. And one more. Stirring. So if you haven't had your name drawn yet, you're still in there for the clinic. Clinics. Sheila French. All right. There's our $50 gift certificate winners. Okay. This one is for a 2-night stay in the Bell or Bailey room. They're kind of both the same. First one. Shelly K. There's a Shelly here tonight. Where are you? Maybe that's you. That's cool. All right. And 2-night stay in Chip's cabin goes to Kathy McCartney. Congratulations, Kathy. There's our 2 winners. 1, 2. Okay. You guys ready to draw for the clinics, or you just want to wrap it up now? No? Yeah? Okay. Let's do this. Okay. Stir them up really good. Should have brought a horse in here. Alrighty. This one's written in pink. That must be a good sign. And the first one, Marie Parfit. Congratulations, Marie. And the next one. Oh, this one's hard to open. I'll just take my time. That's kind of like suspense. But I'm getting skilled at opening now. Kelly Frederick! I know you're here somewhere. Yeah! She got her arms up, dance around. Excellent! Congratulations, Kelly. You won a clinic. Cool. It's actually really cool when the winners are actually on the screen. So then it's like, I'm not just drawing fake names or something like that. Awesome stuff, you guys. So a big thank you to everyone that entered the contest. We really enjoyed seeing all your entries, stories, pictures, videos. We still got to, have a look at all those things. And we cannot wait to see all of you in 2026 or, from now until March in one of the dedicated programs. If you're interested in bringing a couple of horses over and playing around, we're here. Thank you guys all for showing up tonight. It was great. I hope you had some fun and enjoyed our little hour here together. And yeah, we might do another little blurb here before Christmas too, where we get everyone online together. So we'll see you then. Until then, take care of you guys. Thanks again for coming out and hope you have a fantastic evening.